Alright, so we're constructing the cube. So first we have to create the walls of the cube with the 6 sides. As you can see, we have 3-inch mirrors, square. These drawings are going to be what this wood is for, to create the boundary to hold the mirror. I highly suggest getting a sawing set like this, as we're dealing with cheap-ass basil wood, because we're just going to end up destroying it anyway, so there's no point in spending too much money, time, or effort. So we're using our little saw kit for carving out the squares. We're making sure that everything's already, you know, taken care of measured wise, so that way when we put on the sides to inlay the mirror. We'll get to that later, but so for right now we're cutting out the sides of the cube, and we got the mirror with it as well. And so we'll saw one more so you guys can see, and then we'll move on to something else after we get them all sewed out, because there's no point in watching a 30-minute film of me being arts and craftsy. You're all about to see just how much of a perfectionist I am. Because a lot of people find it very yeah, and the phone's always going on. But anyway, so we're going to put you on pause and come back later. So now we're cutting out the side pieces that are going to go upon the squares themselves for the inlets, like such. That'll be all 4 sides, so that the mirror will sit in with that right there. And once I get all 4 pieces out, we'll come back and look at that again. Okay, so this is going to be one of the 6 sides of the cube. Obviously we need to sand the wood down before we start gluing it and putting it together. But as you can see, the mirror inlays, and that's to protect the mirror.
That's just the light.
No, it's a hair. Get a hair on the camera. We're going to start this section over now. Alright, start this. So this is one side of the cube. Obviously there's going to be 6. We need to sand down the wood now on the edges and stuff so we don't get splinters and all that good shit. And as you can see, it fits in that these 2 sides are obviously going to be slightly shorter because of how long these sides are. And so what we're going to do now, we're going to sand the wood, and we're also going to get a strip of cloth to hot glue onto this whole square. And then once we have that hot glued on, then we'll hot glue the mirror, and we're going to put the cloth just in the mirror part. We're not going to cover the whole square, just in the mirror part. We're going to hot glue that in, then we're going to hot glue the mirror onto the cloth. And then what we're going to do then is we're going to put a little bit of hot glue along each side of the mirror. Then we're going to put the basil wood glue on the basil wood and glue that together, so that'll hold this piece in from glue to glue, and then the hot glue will hold the mirror and the cloth to each of the sides. Alright.
Got your picture. Alright, so now that everything's all sanded down and measured out, now I'm going to cut around the mirror. Got the hot glue gun heating up. Do this first. This piece is a lot smaller. Nothing special for the fabric, just old fabric lying around. Only that. Okay. first one is not going to be special. So just sequentially, and the other ones we made will. Should be that. Okay. It's not going to set up. Okay. That's just going to lay down. It's okay to put overlays where the sticks are. I'm just going to glue over it. Can't hold that in place. Do you want me to go ahead and glue the other pieces down?
Oh, here. Use this to put mine on.
This is
Alright, so as we get this set in, we'll come back. Alright, so now we're gluing in the inset pieces for the inside. And it's basically elementary arts and craft shit.
It's okay if the glue gets a little overlapped because
We can always sand it off. Alright, once we have all four sides, we'll come back. And that is the mirror on the inlay for one of the sides of the box. We're going to place this book on top of it so that we can make sure that we have weight while we're waiting on the glue to dry. But once that is dry, then we will move into staining it. Here's the stain that we will be using. And after that, we'll get the X-Acto knife and we will draw out the sigil, and then we will make the stuff to place into the sigil and do the hem as we're doing the sigil. But let's just keep it easy, one step at a time. Next piece is to stain it after the glue is dry enough to withstand. Okay, so now we're going to stain the outside of it. After we get this hair out of it. Okay. Sorry about that. So we're using a black stain, obviously. We didn't feel like using paint. Feel like stain would hold the integrity of it being wooden. We were looking at maybe even walnut as well, but we didn't want it to make it seem so close to the Hellraiser box thing, even though it's similar in idea, since we're going to be storing demons in it, the Calico demons. But so take your time, put a nice stain on here, get it good and black. And as you can see, the wood's doing a fairly good job of absorbing it as best it can. course, we're gonna pick it up. Get the little woods on the sides too. As best we can, get everything up in there. Let's get to it. I don't want to get this stuff on my hands. Now we will let that dry. We'll come back later.
Okay, so now that we have all of the squares all stained on each side, this is a diagram of the sigil straw and which squares to put them on. And right now I'm going to start with this one. So this one would be Jahi. Start by cutting that out. This is the one. And then we're going to draw the sigil on there and then we'll get that carved out. Okay, so I have this drawn out and not sure if y'all can see this or if we can get an angle to where you can see it, but the thing I did notice is that since it was tacky, I did have to do a lot of pushing down and through the top surfaces of it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start carving it out, and then Adam will take over from here.
Okay, the next step is we're going to imbue the sigil that's been carved into the wood. This sigil is to Jahi. This is Jahi's idol, and obviously I have this out here to do this imbuement. The imbuement requires us to use what we call the Dakhma hymn to Jahi. And the new book, Ashim Magalha, that the publishers have, all of these hymns will be in there, and instructions on how to do all this will also be in the book as well. And in our tradition, because not everybody has access to menses or doesn't want to mess with it, you can either use the menses pot, or you can make a combination that the Hindus make to represent menses, which is sindoor powder, and it's this red powder, with jasmine oil. And I'm going to use both. And in the book it describes that in order to make this like menses, is that after you stir in the oil and the powder, you'll end up more powder. You'll end up putting urine in there as well. Obviously, I'm not going to sit here and pee in this thing for you guys on camera. Nor am I going to bother collecting my urine. But this shit is pretty rank of itself. When you combine it together, this shit stinks pretty bad too. All these Hindu powders are really pretty damn pungent and nasty. I've yet to find one that I've really cared to breathe in. Damn it. Now you see how weird I get. Okay. So we're going to try to get this more pastely, more of a paste. Yeah, that's about the consistency of the paste they use. Okay. So, that's the lid for that. Watch me spill that. Yeah, I made quite a mess in my work area. I usually do. So we have a black cloth on it. Okay, so I'm going to do the bottom part with this. So generally in magic it says to use your pointer finger, but in general, in all actuality, your middle finger is the longest finger and it's on the middle meridian of the hand. So you're just going to dip your finger in there and then you're just going to imbue right into there. Just right into that crevice. And I'm putting that paste in the crevice. Okay? If I can get a paper towel, you forgot to grab paper towel, so I can wipe this off with. And you can see that it has inserted itself into the crevice. I'll dab this in water in a minute so I can wipe the rest of this off. And then I'm going to use my pointer finger since I've already used my middle finger for the menses. And technically, since this is Jahi, we should be using menses anyway. Because this is the source of menses. As you can see, this stuff's a little bit thicker. And again, we're just going to draw on here. And we're going to run that in there, just like we did with the other bit. And we're going to wipe our fingers off. And again, we're going to wipe this off, leaving the corruption on there. So that's what we're doing. We're corrupting it, the sigil with the concept. Of course, we're going to do all the sigils with one or the other. But either way, you should be getting a pungent smell. Go dampen that just slightly for me. And as you can see, the blood or the menses is in there as well. And obviously we're doing it with the particular idol that it needs to work with. We're not going to have an idol for all of them, you're not either. So we're doing this as a general impromptu thing so that people understand that we are devoting this particular square with this particular sigil to this particular entity. This helps imbues the Calco demons that we're going to end up putting inside of this box. And it allows these particular Deva or Pyraka, female Deva, to be commanders of those Droog. And you'll hear that a lot throughout the Yasna, commander of Droog. So now that we have the fluids in there, we're going to say this hymn to Jahi and imbue this. And it's best, you know, to have your energy over it. I mean, if it was a stone or a mandala or something that I could fit in my hands, I would have it in between my hands, but that's not there. So I'm going to place my hand over the sigil and I'm going to read the hymn. O menstruating Pyraka of the mountain, who makes the whole of man corrupt, who makes the whole of the universe owing of concupiscence, dwelling of the opening of Arazira, glistening widely, praise those delirious of victory. O Pyraka, whore of Melech Taus, one of has many families, be victorious, O destroyer of the Ahoras, with beautiful braids of hair, daughter of the Mount Alvarez, bestower of boons unto the Devas, who assails with hard weapons, one who is grossing and enjoicing and nourishes the animal nature of man, one who bestows sin, one who is engrossed in evil speech, one who is angry with the progeny of Armazad, one who is angry with the sons of man, one who bestows the evil invocation of pride, spirit of water, O mother of wickedness, one who loves to dwell in Arazira, who keeps the glimmering grin, one who is hellish, one who is with treasures of demons, destroyer of the Ahoras, who splits the head into hundreds of pieces, and who cuts the trunks down like battle elephants, and those of the great lion is skilled in terrifying valor and tearing apart the temples of the enemy, one who cuts into pieces the heads of the enemy Magi, with the strength of her own arm that holds the invincible and the undiminishable striking force which arose on the occasion of killing the enemy who were hard to kill in on the battlefield, who is a great attendant of non-shite, a leader in subtle drinking, her commander, one who gives the protection to the great Yatus, is assured by the power of the resounding noise of clashing metal. The blown aside of 100 birds coming from the horrors merely of her own roaring. One who is of pestilence of corruption through menstrual blood drops in the battles of men. One who delights in the company of non-shite, Ashma, and Swarva, and the spirits that are fed upon the great battles of the dead. And one who herself is a dancing element with throbbing appendages making her bow ready. Who killed a huge enemy with a shining sword, who made the battleground with the fourfold army and the stages of colorful drama and screaming soldiers. Be victorious, whose victory shall be sung praises by the whole universe, ready to sing the praises extolling her victory, whose delights in beautiful singing and dancing, whose spotless form advanced by the beautiful complexion, pure and delicate like the moon's ray, who set aside the brilliance of the moon. With colorful rays covering in the yellow silk she is wearing on her waist, whose breast outshine the temples of the high peaks of the golden mountains, O benevolent Pyraka, accompanied by non-shite. If someone cherishes you daily, how will they not become wealthy? Someone who bathes you in the playgrounds of concupiscence with the crimson waters, and he will not experience the pleasures that is equal to Vedic Indra, to the intoxication of Soma. O Pyraka, worshipped by evil speech, I take refuge in your presence, and he is sufficiently praised by your moon-like face, which is as bright as the host of the spotless moons. Will he turn corrupt? Who should be kindly disrobed towards me because of your concupiscence towards the wicked? You may choose to do me with lewd abandon, for she removes the great pain, and I unconditionally surrender unto our illustrious mother. And here is a better view of the idol of Jahi. You can buy this particular idol under the name of Anahita. Anahita is the original name of Jahi before she is corrupted by Ahriman through Menses. Here are all 6 sides of the cube completed with engraving and imbuing, along with the hymns being said over the sigils. And we still have Anahita out here. So the next step is to put the 6 sides together. And once we get that completed, we'll come back and look at that. Okay, so we discussed how to create Akamana's cube. And I don't have everything here with me at this point in time, but you would put hair, teeth, saliva, blood, whatever. Things that have an edge, things that are brittle, things that these Calco demons can make weapons out of, spiritual weapons, the Arimani things. But teeth, fingernails, bone shards, things like these they can make out of weapons. And you would put those in the box. Okay? And then also to help anchor them in, you would use lapis lazuli type stones. And we would place one inside the box. Okay? And then normally what we've done before is we've placed the other piece on top of the box to help secure them. Now, putting the box aside, in Asham Lageha and with other stuff that we've talked about in Enochian magic. This is the crystal specifically that we use, and over the years it's gotten smokier. It used to be clear on all sides. But this is the crystal that the Calco demons come through that have all the different oblique angles and so forth that draw them through. And these types of crystals are both liquid, fluid, and then solid at the same time, but they're not classified as either. And that's why they bend to both worlds, and why demons or any other form of spiritual entity can use these as a portal if called through properly. The other thing that we talk about to help anchor the Calco demons in is we talk about taking the sigillium de Amath and keeping the box on top of that as a hold, and then using that as a hold. So we bring them through here, and then we ask them to go into the box. And as you can see, in the box there's a mirror on every side. So that way you have 3 direct infinity mirrors creating that vector. And that vector allows them to move in between any and all dimensions. So therefore the box isn't so much as a prison as it is a holding place for them to make weapons, and we're using the stones as an anchor so that when we call them back there, it's easy for them to come. Now, whereas before, we've kept secret, we haven't made reference, we've been giving a lot of misdirection when it comes to the numbers of the Calco demons. There are 64 total Calco demons. In other words, according to John Dee, and let me see if this particular is in here. We're looking for the Golden Talisman is what it's called. Let me flip through it real quick and see if we run across it. But basically the Golden Talisman shows the 4 watchtowers being in north, south, east, and west, and then in the center is a circle. And that circle is the abyss, or the void, or what sends people into hell. You can also look at it as the top of a volcano. I'm not coming across it right away, but I will put up photos with the video so you can see the diagrams exactly as to what I'm talking about. I really am not seeing it. May not be in this particular book. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, so it's a Golden Talisman. It's basically you're north, south, east, west, and then there's a circle in the center. And that circle is where the quote-unquote aethers are. And in here, you have the beginning of going into the different aethers and the different angels. And this is just the beginning of it, of them coming together. And then with the entire into the abyss are the 30 aethers, and within the 30 aethers are the different angels that keep the demons from coming out of the abyss. The 64 Calco demons are stored in what they say they're stored in the 4 towers, but the angels are stored in the 4 towers as well. So it would seem kind of ridiculous to have both the angels and the demons stored in the same amount. But if you look at how a Dakhma is designed, again with the circle in the middle, and then if this is north, south, east, and west, these are where the towers are. There are runoff vats that are in the other 8 points. So your first 4 cardinal points, and then the in-between points are where the runoff vats are, and that's literally underground. And so, by my research and study, it shows that those Calco demons are in those runoff vats that are next to the watchtowers. Again, I'll put diagrams up for this to make sense. And so, in each of those is 16 Calico demons, which is a total of 64. There are four classes of Calico demons. So there is 4 of 4 classes, so 4 times 4 is 16, in each of these vats. Now, anyway, so we have the 4 different classes, and there's 4 types in each of the 4 runoff vats. So if you overlay the Golden Talisman, which has the 4 here, and then you overlay the Dakhma on top with the vats, you'll see how the 8 points are codified. And then the other 2 points is below and above. So it's the 10 points. So when we have the cube, we have 6 of those points. And then when we put it and line it up in the vectors of the pentagonal mirror gate, we bring in the other 4 vector points. We bring in the other 4 so that we have above, below, north, south, east, west, and then southwest, northwest, southeast, northeast. And we have all those angled mirrors coming together to meet the center of the box, or Akamana's cube as we're calling it. Now, each of those 4 Calico demons are summoned and commanded with the 19th Enochian key. And those who are unaware, we rewrote the keys to be specifically for devil worship. And we use the term Kuranzon because that is a term they use for the serpent of the abyss. In lieu of Ahriman or Manah or whichever major deity you want to put over the abyss. But these were specifically designed to call in the 64 and command the 64 Calico demons. For every 4 demons that are in that vat, there is their name. So in the 19th key, you'll replace their name in 2 different spots. So it'll be 1, but you'll say the name twice. And then in the normal key that most people are used to dealing with in the 19th key, it says Tabak Zibra. Tabak Zibra is the evocation and the command words. For every 4 demons, it's a different evocation and it's a different command word. So when you're going through this 64-night process, every night you're going to be changing the name of the demon, but then every 5th night you're going to be changing the command word and the invocation word. All this is in the Ashamagalha. It even explains how to create the box, and it talks about all these different things that we're talking about now. All those things are in there, and it shows you how to create your own things. I keep being accused of being a snake oil salesman, or I'm trying to sell this, I'm trying to sell that. The thing is, if you get the book, that's probably about the only thing you're going to pay for that I'm going to get out of it. All the other supplies that you buy to create these things, you're not paying me for them. You're going to get them wherever you get them. I don't care if you pick up trash and you don't pay for them at all, or if you go to a Hobby Lobby and buy them. It doesn't matter to me, however you put this together. But majority of you aren't even going to do the work anyway, so I don't even know why I'm talking about this. This is part of the nightly transformative rituals that have been fully flushed out because the publisher wanted everything fully flushed out. So basically, instead of the resistance of spoon feeding, which I've been refusing to do all these years, I now have a publisher who's made me rewrite everything so that it is spoon feeding. And these videos are to help with that spoon feeding, as it is said. So within the 19th key, you'll be changing out the name of the Calico demon every night, and like I said, every 5th night, you're going to be changing out the invocation and the command words. Once you have all 64 in and done, okay, and you have all 64 demons been directed into the box, and they're in the box with the hair, the teeth, whatever sacrifice, the lapis lazuli, yada yada yada. On that 65th night is when you'll do a full ritual. So our way of doing full rituals fully mapped out in the book, blah blah blah. And at this point, you have two choices, because basically the Calico demons are the demons of reality. You can use and call upon the 64 to create an effective change in reality that you want to see happen, but it'll have to be a long-term thing that will require a lot of attention. Then there's also the other option, which is something we've never revealed before up until this point, and you can gather 64 noxious creatures. Snakes, scorpions, hedgehogs, any type of bug, any type of thing that has poison in it, anything that lives underground, anything that's considered a noxious creature of the earth. You can have 64 of those set aside in a container. Preferably, it would be the husk of a dead animal. So let's say, to make this easy, a bunch of maggots. So you have a dead animal, it's hollowed out, and you have all the maggots in there. You go through the ritual routine. You give off what it is you're looking for mentally. Then you will take the box, you'll cover it with a cloth, and you will have a hammer, and you will smash the shit out of that box. You're going to smash it into bits, you're going to tear it the fuck up, you're going to smash everything, and you're going to let the Calico demons out, and you're going to take the contents that's left, and all the pieces, and you're going to throw it in that husk with those maggots. Okay? Then you're going to take your menses pot and your athame, and you're going to continue to dip it in the pot and flick the blood. Flick the menses blood on the droog. You're going to flick it, 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 you're going to flick it. And while you're saying that, you're going to say the possession prayer, which has the sacred mantra of the spread of droog. And what you're doing is you're taking these Calico demons, which are really old Persian for Kastar. Kastar are the spiritual noxious creatures. They're also the creatures in hell that punish people. And this stuff is in the book as well. And talks about their different jobs, how they're serpents, bugs, dogs, birds, whatever the hell they got to be to torture people. But we're taking them out of hell, placing them in the box, and either using them to affect reality, or we're going to create droog, as with the maggots, by taking those 64 spirits, imbuing them into the maggots. It's in the husk. And once you said the prayers, and once you flick the blood, and you've gotten through the whole thing, you're going to sew your husk up, and you're going to take that son of a bitch to wherever the fuck it is you need to take it. Do not do this at home. Take it to wherever. If you're going to vex an organization, you're going to vex a place, you're going to go vex some water, whatever you're going to vex with this droog, whatever trouble you're planning on making with this, you're going to take it to that spot. Once you take it to that spot, you're going to split that thing open, and you're going to spill the contents, and you're going to again say the sacred mantras for the population of droog, and you're going to leave. And you're going to leave that shit there and let it do whatever the fuck it's going to do. If you're making a shit ton of flies, maybe you got a bunch of moths, and now you got a bunch of cocooned caterpillars, if you got a bunch of scorpions, whatever the fuck you got in that husk. You're going to let that shit go, you're going to say the fucking prayer over that shit, the mantra over that, and project those things, and now you have a little legion of 64 Kastars in a physically embodiment roaming around doing the devil's work. And should anything that's a carrion eat these things, so let's say you put it out and you got a bunch of birds eating those maggots, or you got a squirrel eating those maggots, or you got whatever eating those maggots, they're now infected with the seed of madness. And that's what a Kastar is. A Kastar is a noxious creature that has been infected with the seed of madness. The seed of madness is from eating death. Because these maggots are eating death, they're eating something dead in order anyway, and now you've put the spirit of the droog in there. The Kastar is now the droog, and the droog and the Kastar are together, so now it's mad. Ahriman's madness is seed of madness. And now you're putting that out there. Whether those things turn into other flies, whether they get eaten, and the flies get eaten, whatever. You're now spreading chaos unparalleled. And it's directly the seed of Ahriman from hell being spread in throughout reality. Whether you do it in the physical way with the maggots, or you do it in the spiritual way by doing the ritual. Either way, you're still smashing the shit out of the box to let them go. And then directing them to do your will. And you constantly hear in the Yasna, the Master of Droog. The Master of Droog. Well, the Droog is the lowest level demon. From them is the Dev, and then from the Dev is the Deva. We're trying to become Deva, so we're the Master of Droog. And this is how we bring Droog into reality and spread the madness of Dakhma.